All new at 6 o'clock. A mom called WBTV for help after her 5-year-old daughter reported being sexually assaulted on the school bus, and the school, the mom said, didn't do anything to help make her feel safe.
That terrifies me more than anything. Like, how could this happen on a school bus?
This latest claim of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools failing to properly handle a reported sexual assault comes just weeks after new interim superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill touted the steps she said CMS has taken to improve its handling of these cases. Tonight, WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner continues his years-long investigation, asking how this could happen again.
As the school buses rumbled out of the parking lot at Croft Community School one recent afternoon, a concerned mother sat at home, miles away, wondering if her daughter was safe.
This is the school bus. She's supposed to be safe.
That concern fresh in her mind because a few weeks ago, her 5-year-old came home and said she wasn't safe. 2 boys, the little girl said, held her down on the bus, kicked her, punched her, and then violated her, touching her inappropriately, and one exposing himself.
A little boy took out his private parts.
All of this, the little girl said, happened on the bus. The next morning, the girl's report was relayed to the school and police. She was taken to the hospital.
The school district never called me, and I think that's what several days had passed when I reached out to you, because I was like, you know, I didn't know what else to do. The principal, she wasn't offering any help.
The school did send this letter outlining steps it pledged to take to help the little girl feel comfortable on the bus, including providing a bus buddy.
So they give you this packet of all the things that they say they're going to do to make sure she feels safe at school.
Yes.
Did any of that happen?
No, it did not. The very next day she went to school, the bus driver sat her directly next to the little boy. I know she's 5, and she might not feel like an older person would feel, but as a woman, you know, how would you sit me next to my attacker? That makes no sense to me.
In the Duke Energy recipe book.
This mother's concern comes just weeks after interim CMS Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill touted improvements the district had made in handling reported sexual violence on campus.
We've been really strategic in making sure that our compliance in terms of when things are reported, making sure that things are reported in an accurate manner.
Should students feel safe and comfortable reporting sexual violence on campus?
My answer to that would be, hopefully our students aren't looking to the news to find out how they need to report Title IX. That work happens here in the school building.
And recently, the interim superintendent has said, we're improving how we're handling sexual assaults. What do you say to that?
I say that is a made-up lie.
Hill would not agree to answer questions on camera for this story. A CMS spokeswoman issued a statement saying in part, quote, while we cannot provide support that is outside of our control or is unduly burdensome, we are committed to making the necessary adjustments as unforeseen circumstances and situations arise.
Overall, what would be your message to school leaders about this situation?
Take it as seriously as you would if it were your child. Because we expect, when we send them off to school, we expect the children to be protected.
Reporting in Charlotte, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
Tonight, only WBTV is sitting down one-on-one with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools interim superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill. Thanks for watching All New at 6 o'clock. I'm Jamie Ball.
And I'm Molly Grantham. Our chief investigative reporter, Nick Oxner, is asking Dr. Hill questions in the wake of our investigation that uncovered a 5-year-old reporting sexual assault on her school bus.
The school system failed us. We chose to reach out to the media simply because the school ignored what we were saying.
That concerned mother tells WBTV her daughter was made to sit next to the boy she reported attacking her the next time she rode the bus, despite the fact school administrators pledged to take steps to make the girl feel safe. We wanted to know how that could happen and what is being done to keep children safe on school buses.
Questions that are important to get to the bottom of. Questions Dr. Hill did not want to answer.
God, please protect my sweet girls. Keep them safe. protect them from every hurt, harm, and danger, and bring us back together closer than we were when we left.
This is the prayer Interim Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill says for her own kids every morning.
And I will tell you that Crystal Hill, when she gets up in the morning, says that very same prayer for all 141,000 students and the 20,000 students, staff that are here.
I sat down with Hill to get answers about how the district handled the report from a 5-year-old girl who said she was sexually assaulted.
I can't comment on confidential student matters. I'll tell you that. I care deeply for every student and every staff member that's here.
But we're sitting here today because there's a mother of a 5-year-old girl who reported being sexually assaulted, who said the school district did nothing for her and her child after her child reported being sexually assaulted on a school bus. So what good do your words mean if there's a mother and a 5-year-old who feel that way?
Well, what I will say is that any reports of misconduct, especially if it's sexual misconduct under Title IX, there are certain processes that we have to follow. And to the general public, those processes don't always land well.
Title IX states clearly, the language is very clear. You do what you need to do to ensure that these students are not coming in contact with each other.
Annette Albright, education chair for the local NAACP, had this to say about CMS's handling of reported sexual violence at a news conference Tuesday, just hours after I sat down with Hill.
Why can CMS not comply with Title IX?
When I first asked CMS about this case, the district issued this statement, saying the district, quote, cannot provide support that is outside of our control or is unduly burdensome.
Dr. Hill? Hi, Nick Oxner at WBTV.
That's the statement I tried for more than a week to get answers about. Hill and CMS staff ignored my repeated request for an interview. On Monday, I approached Hill as she walked into a budget open house.
I already responded to you, the questions that you had.
Well, you didn't answer any of our questions, and I want to ask you, the statement that you did send said, while we cannot provide support that is outside of our control or is unduly burdensome. Is it unduly burdensome to make sure a child who reported being sexually assaulted isn't sat next to the same student she reported sexually assaulting her?
What I will say
It's a yes or no question.
We've taken every step that we can to protect all students.
Hill had a different answer the next day.
I would never, ever, ever authorize communication that we would say anything is unduly burdensome. When a parent says that something has happened to their child, there's nothing that's unduly burdensome. It's our job to make sure that our students are safe. So I will say to you again,
But that's not
Mr. Oxner, that I will not comment on individual student matters. And if you ask me one more time, then I'm sorry, but our interview will have to be over.
Yesterday, when we spoke on camera, you said you stood by that statement that the district issued. Why are you changing your story?
Because I didn't realize that what was issued, that specific statement, there was 2 or 3 lines that were not accurate. I'm not standing by that statement because it's legalese.
But that's not what Hill said when I talked with her Monday. She actually said claims made by the 5-year-old's mother that school administrators did nothing to help her daughter were inaccurate.
We still have parents who say the school's doing nothing.
Well, it's not accurate.
Would you say that to the mother of this 5-year-old girl?
That's what I would say. What I said yesterday on camera, I said that is inaccurate, meaning the statement, and I appreciate your smile, the statement was inaccurate because it was not the statement that I had authorized.
But you also said the claims by the mother in this case were inaccurate because I asked you specifically to clarify.
That's not what I said.
Ma'am, it's on camera.
And then, as I pressed Hill to explain why she said one thing on Monday and another thing in our sit-down Tuesday, this happened.
I just want to know, did the school district issue a pre-investigative supportive measures letter in this case?
I will not comment on individual student matters. I think we're done.
Did the school district issue a notice of investigation in this case?
Thank you. I appreciate
Why
your
aren't
time.
you willing to answer questions
I'm
about
willing
it?
to answer your questions, but you know, you've asked the same question 50 times.
So what are school districts required to do when a student reports being sexually assaulted? Guys, what actually does the federal law say? Jamie, I'll break that down at 7 o'clock when I join you for On Your Side Tonight.
We're looking forward to that part of the conversation as well. Nick, thank you for that.
Starting here, all new at 6 o'clock, another 5-year-old student in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools reports being sexually assaulted by a classmate. Thank you for trusting WBTV. All new at 6 o'clock. I'm Molly Grantham.
And I'm Jamie Bola. A concerned mother called WBTV for help after seeing our stories about another 5-year-old girl who reported being sexually assaulted. WBTV's chief investigative reporter, Nick Oxner, joins us now live from Northeast Charlotte.
Okay, so Nick, walk us through the steps being taken by CMS to address this mom's concerns.
Well, Molly, that really is the story here. This mom tells me she doesn't think her concerns are being addressed. About 2 weeks ago, the mom says the assistant principal here at Greer Academy Elementary School called her to say that her daughter reported another male classmate looking up her skirt and trying to touch her. But school officials didn't call police. They did not file a Title IX report. They did not take protective measures. That all changed after I got involved.
I'm mad, I'm upset. I feel like she spends most of her time there. Right. That's supposed to be her safe place.
Another mother of a Charlotte-Mecklenburg school student, concerned about her 5-year-old daughter going to school. That little girl, the subject of this report, said an older boy looked up her skirt and tried to touch her while they were both waiting for the school bus.
My daughter comes home every day and she's still not comfortable.
The incident happened February 23rd, reported the same day. This mother says the assistant principal at Greer Academy called her that afternoon. But that's it. Nothing else happened. Police weren't called. A Title IX report wasn't filed. Her daughter still had to see the boy.
He sits 2 seats behind them. My daughter told me they still cross paths.
She asked the assistant principal if the boy could be removed from the bus.
And they was basically saying like, oh, it'll be a whole process, you know, blah, 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 and it's not guaranteed it was gonna happen. I was like, you know what, okay, cool. And then that's when we reached out to you guys.
I called Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools to get answers. That same day, administrators at Greer Academy reached out to the mother for a meeting. That meeting led to this paperwork, outlining steps the school would take to make the little girl feel comfortable at school, including counseling. But both kids would still be on the same bus.
That's all I want. What's so hard to take this boy off the bus?
This is the second case uncovered by WBTV in less than a month. Despite claims by Interim Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill that the district has improved its handling of reported sexual violence. This is what happened when I tried to ask Dr. Hill about those claims in an interview last week.
Did the school district issue a notice of investigation in this case?
Thank you. I appreciate
Why
your
aren't
time.
you willing to answer questions
I'm
about it?
willing to answer your questions, but you know, you've asked the same question 50 times.
Well, Dr. Hill walks away from
want
my
answers about
questions.
things that you-
This mom is having to answer uncomfortable questions at home from her 5-year-old daughter.
I never had that talk with my daughter yet. She's 5 years old. She's not exposed to things like that.
So what do Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools have to say about this new case of another 5-year-old girl reporting being sexually assaulted? Well, nothing. In an email, a spokesman for the district said they wouldn't comment or answer any of our questions, not even when I followed up in a second email. But don't worry, we plan to ask questions of Dr. Hill, the superintendent, and of the school board members. In fact, they have another meeting this coming Tuesday. Stay tuned to see what the leaders of the district have to say to these worried parents who wonder if their children are safe when they go to school. For now, reporting live in Northeast Charlotte, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
Nick, thank you.
You're going to hear more of Nick's reporting tonight at 7 o'clock when we go On Your Side Tonight. Nick, we will see you then. Cover story, another mother calling WBTV for help after her daughter was reportedly sexually assaulted on a school bus.
Do you think your daughter can be safe in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools?
No. No. I don't think any child is safe in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. As long as they have the administrators that they have in office now, I don't think any student is.
In February, the mother of a 5-year-old student called us after her daughter was sat next to the boy she reported sexually assaulting her on the school bus. Then weeks later, the mother of a second 5-year-old girl called us after learning her daughter had been sexually assaulted by a classmate at a bus stop. In that case, the principal did not call police and did not fill out proper paperwork. WBTV was first to tell you Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools is under investigation by the U.S. Department of Education, which has opened a new probe to determine whether the district violated federal laws dictating how reported sexual assaults should be handled. That investigation comes nearly 2 years into WBTV's investigation on this issue. So why is this still happening? That's the question WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner is taking to school board members.
How are you all? Nick Oxner at WBTV, trying to see if any of you guys got my emails about the third student whose mother had to call WBTV because her daughter was sexually assaulted on a school bus.
Silence from the adults elected to run Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, charged with keeping kids safe.
Does no one think it's a problem that CMS parents have to call WBTV because the school won't handle their child's reported sexual assault appropriately? Do you think any leader in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools is taking this issue seriously?
I don't. And if they personally ask me, fire the whole staff. Start all over.
Latanja Whitaker is a mom who knows firsthand the cost of that silence.
I received a call about a week ago from CMS schools saying that my daughter was sexually assaulted on a CMS school bus.
Whitaker's daughter is 13.
She said that they was punching on her, they was choking her, and they was holding her down by her arms and her legs. And, just touching her and her privates.
April 18th, school administrators are told what happened by 3 other students. No calls made to police. No paperwork is completed. A school administrator did not call Whitaker until April 27th.
It had been approximately 2 weeks since the incident had occurred, and no one had even told me about the situation.
And so when you get this phone call from a school administrator that your daughter was reportedly sexually assaulted 10 days ago and no one had told you, what's going through your mind?
I was floored.
Minutes after learning what happened on April 27th, Whitaker called police. An officer responds. No report is made. The next morning, April 28th, Whitaker gets a call from the school resource officer. Again, no report is made. No investigation started. CMPD detectives only reached out to Whitaker after I called with questions.
The mom did hear from a school resource officer, a CMPD officer assigned to Turning Point Academy that next morning. Could he have made the report?
He could have made the report, but my understanding is that he was not aware that the report hadn't been done.
Lieutenant Kevin Petrus with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police acknowledges the department delayed opening an investigation.
This isn't an ideal outcome. If we were going to draw up on the board, if we were going to write up a model procedures for how this should go, this wasn't it.
But Petrus tells me even if detectives started when Whitaker called, they still would have been steps behind, since no one at the school called police when they were first told what happened.
What we would say is, hey, as law enforcement, we want to be notified right away. We want to be able to talk to witnesses. We want to be able to respond to the scene. We want to be able to maybe collect physical evidence.
In the case that we're talking about here, CMPD didn't find out for about 10 days.
That's right.
Does that prevent a problem for you guys?
It could very well pose a problem.
I sent interim CMS Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill this detailed email demanding answers about why staff did not report to police or complete proper paperwork. A spokeswoman responded and said Hill would not answer questions. The board members were similarly non-responsive to my emails, which is what brought me to their public board meeting. Board Vice Chair Stephanie Sneed was the only person willing to say anything.
Does it concern you that we've now had 3 worried mothers who couldn't get help from CMS?
I think we have a responsibility to be responsive to parents, and I think that we will be in the capacity that we can.
You are the 3rd mom to call me in 3 months after their children reported being sexually assaulted on a school bus.
That's it.
Do you think your daughter can be safe in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools?
No. I don't think any child is safe in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, as long as they have the administrators that they have in office now, I don't think any student is.
Reporting in Charlotte, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
All of Nick's reporting can be found on our website, WBTV.com.